Imagine you're camping in a frozen mountain wilderness. It's the middle of the night. The temperature is far below freezing. Outside, the wind howls across the snow-covered mountains. You're safe inside your tent. Then suddenly, something happens. Something so terrifying that you slash open your tent from the inside and run into the darkness, barefoot, without your coat, without supplies, without even using the tent's entrance. What could possibly scare you that much? This is the mystery of Dyatlov Pass. In January 1959, a group of 9 experienced hikers set out on an expedition through the Ural Mountains of the Soviet Union. These weren't reckless adventurers. They were skilled, trained hikers who had survived difficult winter conditions before. Their leader was a 23-year-old engineering student named Igor Dyatlov. The goal of the trip was ambitious but achievable. The group planned to cross a remote mountain region and return home after several weeks. Before leaving, Dyatlov told friends and family that he would send a telegram once the expedition was complete. At first, everything seemed normal. The group made steady progress through deep snow and harsh weather. They took photographs, wrote in their journals, and appeared to be in good spirits. Nothing suggested that they were heading toward one of history's greatest mysteries. Days passed, then weeks. The hikers never returned. The telegram never arrived. At first, nobody panicked. Winter expeditions were often delayed by storms and difficult terrain. But as more time passed, concern began to grow. Eventually, search teams were sent into the mountains. What they found would shock everyone. After days of searching, rescuers finally discovered the group's campsite on a barren mountain slope. Their tent was still standing, partially buried beneath the snow. But something immediately caught the investigators' attention. The tent had been cut open, not from the outside, from the inside. Think about that for a moment. Why would experienced hikers destroy their own shelter in the middle of a deadly winter night? And if they needed to leave quickly, why not simply use the entrance? The mystery deepened when investigators examined the area around the tent. They found footprints leading away from the campsite. The tracks suggested that the hikers had left on foot and headed down the mountain. Some footprints appeared to belong to people who were barefoot. Others belonged to hikers wearing only socks. A few seemed to have left with almost no winter protection at all. It made no sense. The temperature that night may have dropped to nearly minus 30 degrees Celsius. At those temperatures, surviving outside without proper clothing is nearly impossible. So why did they leave? Search teams followed the footprints into the darkness. Nearly a kilometer away, beneath a large cedar tree, they found the first 2 bodies. The hikers had apparently attempted to build a small fire. Broken branches were scattered around the tree. Evidence suggested they had desperately tried to stay warm, but the cold had won. Nearby, investigators discovered more bodies lying between the cedar tree and the campsite. It looked as though some members of the group had tried to make their way back to the tent. They never reached it. Then came the most disturbing discovery of all. Months later, after snow began to melt, search teams found the remaining hikers buried beneath a deep ravine. Several of them had suffered severe injuries, broken ribs, a fractured skull, trauma that seemed far more serious than simple hypothermia. Yet there were no obvious signs of a violent struggle, no evidence of another group attacking them, no clear explanation for how such injuries had occurred. The case quickly became a sensation. People wanted answers. What had happened on that mountain? Why did the hikers leave their tent? What caused their injuries? And what had frightened them enough to run into a freezing wilderness at night? Over the years, theories began to spread. Some people believed the hikers had been attacked. Others suspected secret military experiments. There were reports of strange lights seen in the sky around the same time, leading to even more speculation. Rumors grew larger with every passing year. The mystery became famous around the world. But despite countless investigations, nobody could agree on a single explanation. For decades, the official conclusion was frustratingly vague. The hikers, investigators said, had died because of an unknown natural force. But what natural force? That answer only created more questions. Then, many years later, scientists revisited the case using modern technology and computer simulations. One explanation started to gain support: a type of avalanche, not the massive avalanches shown in movies, but a smaller snow slab that could have shifted above the campsite.
According to this theory, the hikers may have believed a larger collapse was imminent. Fearing they were in immediate danger, they cut their way out of the tent and moved downhill as quickly as possible. In the darkness, freezing temperatures, and confusion, a temporary evacuation may have turned into a deadly tragedy. Many experts now consider this one of the most likely explanations. But not everyone is convinced, because even today, certain details remain difficult to explain completely. And that's what keeps the mystery alive. More than 60 years later, people are still fascinated by Dyatlov Pass. 9 experienced hikers entered the mountains. None returned. Their tent was found cut open from the inside. Their footprints vanished into the snow. And the mountain never revealed exactly what happened that night. Maybe the mystery has already been solved. Or maybe, somewhere beneath the frozen winds of Dyatlov Pass, the final piece of the story is still waiting to be discovered.